Sean Dustin spent time in federal and state prison for drug trafficking and fraud. Upon release in 2006, he had nothing but the clothes on his back, a bag of mail, and legal paperwork. In 2010, he kicked a long-time methamphetamine habit and started the long climb back up the ladder of life. This is the Nowhere to Go But Up podcast. If you want transparency and authenticity, you're in the right place. This is the Nowhere to Go But Up podcast, and this is Sean Dustin.
This is the Nowhere to Go But Up podcast, and I am your host, Sean Dustin. Today, I am talking with Liz Priestley. Liz is an actress of a movie. And the way that I met Liz is through Steve Joyner, who I'm going to plug him. Steve Joyner he's a publicist that I work with, and he sends me some of his clients to interview on my podcast and kind of promote whatever it is that they're working on or project that is coming out that they want everybody to know about. And so that's what we're doing, and we're going to be talking about black cowboys in Philly today.
Yes.
So, Liz, how are you?
Steve. I love Steve. I'm great. Sean, how are you doing?
I'm doing cool. Went to Costco earlier. Was able to take care of some things. Got about 3 cases of water.
That's a good day. That's a good day right there. A Costco trip? Oh, man. Yeah. Before 4 o'clock? That's a great day.
And it was under $200.
Wow. That's a great... Oh, Sean, I hope you are going to celebrate with like a massive dinner. That's how I celebrate.
I'm going to celebrate with cutting up a rotisserie chicken.
Ooh. Yum. I like.
All right.
Very nice.
So tell me about you. Tell me about your movie that you're in. It's featuring Idris Elba.
Yeah, that little known guy.
Yeah.
That guy everyone might have heard of. That guy. Yeah. So, where do I even start? About me. Well, I am primarily a film. No, that's not even true. I'm primarily a stage actress. Have been doing stage work for about 25 years. And before that, I was a musician, actually alongside of that as well. But, ever since I was a kid, I knew that I wanted to be the kind of person who made movies. And I was like, how do I do that? Who's making the Mighty Ducks, right? Like, who's teaching these kids to play hockey? And, the whole thing. So, yeah, when I got older, when I got to go to college and things, I knew even then still, I was like, I want to do that, but I will go to college for musical theater so I can be, a more well-rounded performer. And then I stuck with theater for a little while. And then last August, I auditioned for a little film that was shooting in Philadelphia called Concrete Cowboy. And lo and behold, I got the part of the wife of Idris Elba and the mother of Caleb McLaughlin, who is equally fabulous, I have to say. So, it's been, I would say it's been a 25-year journey to living my dream, and I'm finally doing it. And then, COVID kind of happened in the middle of that, threw a wrench into it, and now I'm, kind of unsure what's going to happen. But as I've said to my parents and anyone who will listen, I'm like, even if if I never got to be in another film again or whatever, I could die happy knowing that I lived my dream with some of the biggest names in the world. So that's my story in a nutshell.
Well, that's very cool. That's a great story. 25 years. The acting game is difficult to get into.
Yeah.
I know that we both share some similarities. I was a drama dork in high school. I was in musical theater, stage combat, regular theater.
Stage combat is so great. It's so fun.
Yeah. I mean, I've done Fiddler on the Roof, Grease.
So have I, and so have I. That's crazy. I got into college singing Far From the Home I Love.
Okay.
Yeah, which that doesn't fit. But hey, it worked. I got into college, so hey, it worked a little bit.
Right.
That is so funny. Who were you in Grease?
I was just one of the supporting. Actually, I was in it twice. I was in it in high school, and that one was just like a supporting role, like one of the one of the
T-Birds?
Whatever. Yeah, T-Birds, whatever. Fiddler on the Roof, I was the constable. Or one of the constables.
Oh, okay.
They were all supporting things because I wasn't really, I was just there kind of because I wanted to not have to go to regular classes. So I put all of the electives in and like a couple of the cores. And then I started getting in trouble. And so it was like theater meeting Breaking Bad, right?
Right.
And so I got in some trouble. And then afterwards, when I went into my first job, my real legit job, it was in Oakland working for a professional theater building the sets as a carpenter.
Oh, nice.
As a carpenter's apprentice. And so I had gotten into, as one of, what was that one? The Jets and the Sharks and the Jets.
West Side Story.
Yeah, West Side Story. I built the sets for that, and then I was also an extra. I played an extra in that as well. So it didn't stick. I like entertainment. I mean, obviously, I made my way back around in a different way. But I think it was just so hard to get into it, and I'm just the kind of person that it's like, God, if something's like that hard,
you either gotta love it or you just gotta be like, no, what else do I love? I agree with you. It's really hard. And like my poor parents, they were very supportive along the way, but I know even they were like, Liz, I just don't, we're not saying don't live your dream, but there was a lot of, everyone wants to be an actor. Everyone thinks they can be an actor, and everyone thinks they can do it. So what makes you think you can? And I was just like, well, yeah, but I can. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's just like the innate sense of, yeah, but I can.
But does your dream come with a little less struggle?
I don't think so. I really do. I mean, when I tell people, I'm like, no, 25 years I've been doing theater. I mean, I've been doing theater since I was a kid, but it's taken a long time, especially because, like I said, I always knew that I wanted to be in front of a camera as opposed to on the stage. And every decision that I've made in the subsequent 25 years has been sort of geared towards, okay, this is just a stepping stone to get to film. You know what I mean? But I mean, 25 years, that's a struggle, man. It's a lot. I'm glad I did it. I'm glad I did it.
Well, yeah, and you're a lot smarter now. You know the business a little bit more. I liken it kind of to somebody who parties and gets in trouble early on in life, and then somebody who, you know what I mean, you already know the pitfalls and everything else. And so when you're kind of later in life and you have those friends that went the opposite route and just went straight forward and, did everything they were supposed to, never got in trouble, got the job, got the house, got the husband, got the, the kids and everything else.
Yeah.
And then the minute they let loose, they go buck wild and crazy and lose everything.
They don't know how to handle it. Yeah. And I'm just like, yeah, that's sad. That's sad. I hesitate to be like, I'm an expert, but I mean, I teach acting. I try to, give back at least some of my knowledge of this industry to people who say they want to be in it, because it is so hard and it's brutal and it's always changing in some ways, and in other ways you're like, no, it's going to be like this, So yeah, in some ways I do feel, I guess, smarter. I guess that could be.
Yeah, you're more mature. You're more mature. You're a journeyman now.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Seriously, that's really what it boils down to. So, tell me about the story of the Cowboys in Philly. A little bit about that you can. I have a video that we're going to break to at some point to kind of explain, the what it really is through the eyes of the guy that's actually has a stable and everything else. And then also, how do you movie going and making and being able to see is really changing.
Yeah, big time.
My ex, we were talking about something the other day, and she goes, "Hey, do you know that you can rent a whole theater at the movie theater for $100?"
Wow.
I'm like, what? I can go and spend $100 and I can bring a whole bunch of people with me to watch a movie now? And she's, but nothing's being released. There's no new movies.
Yeah, there's no new movies. But that's really interesting. I didn't even know it was that cheap. I mean, I guess that makes sense.
Think about how much.
How else are they able to any money, It's like, what else can they do?
Well, who owns the movie theaters, though? I mean, that's what I want to know. Because if it's Hollywood that owns the movie theaters, then it's not. It doesn't matter. It's just
right.
Just like any of these other huge corporations that have, you know what I mean? None of what's happening is affecting Walmart, Target, all of these big corporate owned things. It's affecting all of the little mom and pop shops. That's who's getting X'd out and canceled.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird. I will be the first to admit I don't really know who owns Regal or who owns AMC. I only know that there are concerns about if movie theaters don't open soon, one or both of them may have to file for bankruptcy or whatever. So it makes sense to me that they're doing things like that. But even still, I would be very wary of renting out a whole theater. You know what I mean? It's like, well, how well is it being cleaned, and how, anymore, it's too much of a risk. And it is a bummer because, a year ago when we were filming this movie, that was the thing we were all talking about. Was like, oh my gosh, my parents are going to be able to walk into a theater and see my face up there, and it's going to be my whole face on the screen. And I remember a couple months after we wrapped, and I had to come back in and record my dialogue again, some of it, because a lot of what we shot was outside. So, planes and crowd noise and whatever. So I go back in. That was my first and to date my only glimpse of, no, technically, since that they released that little clip. Okay, so 2 clips I've seen now of the movie, but the first one was, the 30 seconds that they needed me to re-record. And it was they started the video and my whole face took up the screen. It was surreal. And I was just like, that's going to be in the movie theater someday. And then, of course, COVID. So it's been a bit of a bummer in that way. I don't want to be complaining about it because I have my health and I've been able to survive. But it is. The one good thing is that if it does go to a streaming service, which I haven't been told yet what's happening. If it does, then at least everybody's home. Everybody has the opportunity, theoretically, to see it. But it does lose a little something when you're it's that experience of going to the theater, buying the popcorn and the soda, and sitting there with your group of people. Because I was planning to take groups of 25 or more, multiple trips, see multiple viewings. And, so it is a bummer in that way. But again, I hate to complain because it's I'm complaining about the fact that I can't go to a movie theater to see my movie. People are dying. Get over yourself, Liz. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
You still could do that, though.
I mean, you never know. I mean,
you could do it with you could do it with Zoom. You could do it with Zoom. All you got to do.
That's true. You can have a viewing party with Zoom. I've done that now with Poltergeist. I had a couple of friends. We did a viewing party with Poltergeist, and it was so fun. So yes, you're absolutely right. We could, and and I've heard that. I don't know if in Pennsylvania, but I know elsewhere they've been sort of experimenting, open up theaters again. So you never know. I mean, you never know.
Yeah, you probably get away with it with doing like I remember the ones that we have. So you could probably put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 per row.
Yeah,
6 to 10 per row, and then skip a row.
I think it's feasible. I mean, obviously, we're not going to be looking at the same numbers that theaters were putting up, but that's not the point. It's really more about the experience. But I totally went off on a tangent. I know you asked me to talk about the Black Cowboys.
That's all right. I go off on them all the time.
It's so funny, too, because I didn't know about them until I got cast in this movie. And I am born and raised in Philly. I should have known about this. And it's so funny because people I talk to about this, they all say the same thing. I should have known about this. I had no idea. But basically, I mean, if you think about the term cowboy, okay, that's a slave term. I mean, if you want to take it all the way back, right? If you worked in the stable, you were a stable boy. If you worked, in the house, you were a houseboy. If you worked with the cows, you were a cowboy. That's where that word comes from. And right after the Civil War-ish, most cowboys in the U.S. were black. Most of them. And really up until Hollywood got a hold of the narrative, of the cowboy narrative, and they started sort of putting more white actors in those roles. And what ended up happening is we ended up getting, whitewashed out of cowboy history. And now, of course, when you think of cowboys, you think of, John Wayne and, that kind of. But the fact is, black cowboys have existed in major cities in the U.S. since the Civil War. They've been there forever. And Philadelphia is one of the notable cities. So, that is the kind of historical framework that this story takes place in. And what's cool is that, we shot in North Philly at Fletcher Street Stables, which is a real stable that's been there since, the 1850s. And some of the actual Fletcher Street cowboys play cowboys in our movie. In fact, one of the leading roles is a cowboy who is a cowboy at Fletcher Street. So adding that layer of authenticity in the movie, I think, too, lends a certain amount of credibility to what we're trying to bring. And again, like I said, people don't know about this. People don't know that this is I said to the costume person when I went for my fitting, I said, so this is a fantasy story? And she was like, no, this is real. These are real. I had no idea. And so I'm hoping that, at the very least, that this movie makes people go, wait a second, this is a real thing? Hang on, I'm going online. Let me look this up, like that clip you were talking about. I bet I've seen it, because once I found out about it, I tried to find everything I could on it online. But, it's staggering. Let's
transition to that, and let's watch it real quick.
See how I set you up there? I did that on purpose.
There you go. There you go. Good segue. Good segue. All right, so we can share some sound, go to screen 1, share this. Dude, I love this, like with how you can do all this stuff these days.
See, when I do it on my classes, it's all glitchy. It doesn't work when I do.
The horses really do help you with aggression. Once you're on a horse and you out, that's all your mind is on, is having fun. My name is Shahir, and I'm a concrete cowboy. I first got on a horse after I turned 10. And I was young, so I was like, I like that horse. I thought it was cool. Horses have a temper just like us. Me and Shadow had to combine our tempers and work together, because she used to walk while everybody else was running, buck, throw people off. And I used to always just get back on her, just to have the patience. when I ride, people actually give me like props, and they actually be applauding me. The hood guys and everything, they be asking me, "Can I ride? You want to trade?" People like it.
Well, the stable started about 10 years ago. It gave me something to do, something to keep the kids busy with, keep them occupied from running the street, getting in trouble. In Southwest Philadelphia, it's a lot of senseless killing, and I try to give kids something to get away from stuff like that. And when they start learning with the animals, they kind of calm down because they teaching, they learning, and it helps them out a lot.
Violence in this community is crazy. I done lost a brother, an uncle. I lost a lot of friends.
Oh, I hate when it does that.
But when I work with the horses, it's like a type of therapy. I can have fun and not worry about everything else that's going on around us. If I would have never met Malik and started riding horses, I probably would have been doing stuff that I wasn't supposed to be doing, getting in trouble. Once you get to running and having fun, it seems like all that is forgotten.
So
It
hopefully,
actually made me almost get teary.
so hopefully it didn't get too choppy on that. But I mean, it's just to give an idea of like what's happening out there. I mean, I have a dog, and I've never connected with an animal like I've connected with this dog. Right? I've had plenty of dogs before, and honestly, he's really taught me how to love again. Honestly, you know what I mean? Because I don't really think that I knew how. And maybe I did. Maybe I did when I was a kid. I remember I remember feeling like that teenage love that you have. You know what I mean? And then after you've been burned a few times, it just kind of goes away, man. Like you
get jaded.
Yeah, and it's like, and it really, my dog, it's just like, it's crazy because I've had females go, you say you can't love, but like, I see how affectionate you are to your dog, and I'm like, yeah. I said, because my dog is safe.
Yeah. And animals, they don't want anything from you other than your love. They don't, they'll depend on themselves to get food or shelter or whatever. They really just want your love and affection. So in some ways it's almost easier to show that to animals because it's just so pure. It doesn't come attached with anything. There's no strings, there's no complications. They just, you're there with a hand to pet them. They're there, it's a very pure thing. So I love that. And I loved that video. I actually almost started tearing up because I was like, he looks like the same age as Caleb is in the movie. And just that image of him kind of going down the street and you see he called them the hood guys or whatever, but you see them kind of, giving him the pound, shaking his hand and stuff. That's exactly what it is. I mean, it's incredible. I wish I had known about this community years ago. What they're doing, what they've been doing, and like I said, the mission has never changed from when they started. Their whole goal was to give kids a safe place to go, and that has remained. It's such a beautiful thing. It really is. And I just was like, I was watching him ride like, oh, that kind of looks like my son. I don't have a son. I don't have a son.
Yeah, it really is a when you think about men and you think about how men are raised and you think about all of the I'm a product of a broken home, and with not an absent father, but I mean, my dad, it was every other weekend, and it's like, how much can you actually, how much can you be a role model to somebody 2 days, 4, 6, 8 days a month? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're not there in the critical times when you know what I mean, like supervision or discipline or stuff like that has to happen on a constant basis. So, I mean, it really is a tragedy how the family unit has been broken up over the years.
Yeah, and that's another reason. It's so funny you said that, because that's another reason I'm excited for people to see this film, is because I feel so often, especially in films, especially with people of color, we see the broken home all the time. And we see the broken home in a way, like, I feel like filmmakers have gotten so caught up in the let's show what's real, as opposed to let's show what could be. Do you know what I mean? And that's not to say let's not show what's real, but like, one of the things I love about this movie is that, from the very beginning moments, I mean, that's the whole arc of my character, is that, you have not known your father in 15 years. You have not seen your son in 15 years. I've done all I can, but I can't do anymore. This is your responsibility. It is your turn to be in his life as a positive, role model. And I literally dumped my son on his doorstep in the middle of the night, and I go, you take it from here. But that, like I said, that there's the historical framework of the Black Cowboys, and then there's this, at the heart of this story is a father and son who are learning about each other and learning how to love each other after a 15-year absence. And so what I love about that story is that you see what can be in that relationship between a Black man and his Black son, and you see this fractured relationship becoming whole, or not even completely whole, but more whole than it was. And you see how that impacts both of them, because it would also be kind of cliche if it was just like, oh, my dad's a great guy and now everything's wonderful. That's not it. And that's not what the movie is either. It's very much like, we have to come to an understanding and a respect. And I need to learn how to love you as you are, as being someone I haven't known for over a decade. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's just a beautiful story all around. The father-son element, the historical element, I love it. I'm biased, of course, but I love it. I thought it was wonderful. So
yeah, I just as you were explaining that, like, I have issues around that as well, because me and my own father were, for about 15 years, really, when I started getting in trouble and all that, he kind of just sort of turned his back and said, no, I can't deal with you. And and then at some point, he reached back into my life. I guess Facebook showed me as a friend or possible whatever. And he started looking and going, oh wow, your life has changed and you're actually doing good. You got some stuff. Maybe I can make an entrance now. I'm like, yeah. Thanks, man.
Yeah, it's like, well, you weren't there for my struggles, so you can't be there for my successes. And part of what was hard for me, for my character, going into it, was because I'm a mother. I have a 13-year-old. I mean, it's a daughter, not a son, but close enough. And I was like, I can't imagine dropping her off in the middle of the night on the doorstep of someone that she's never known and been like, your turn. You know what I mean? And really, for me, I had to decide that's not how this mother was. She doesn't just say, well, I'm done. You know what I mean? Like, she is really coming from a place of, I don't know what else to do. And I had to hold on to that, because as a mother, I was like, what kind of a parent would just dump their kid, and be like, I can't handle you anymore. Because he is getting in trouble. He's like, when our movie opens, he's been thrown out of something like his 3rd or 4th school. He's been beat up. I think like the opening shot of the movie, he's like got a bloody nose type of thing. So, it's like, he's struggling.
Mm-hmm.
He's very much struggling. And I think my character it's less about, I can't handle you anymore. And it's more about, you need a positive male role model in your life. How am I going to get it?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And then I don't know if she goes about it in a way that I would necessarily do it. But again, it's more about her relationship with Idris Elba's character, in the fact that, like, well, because it's also, they haven't seen each other in 15 years. They haven't really communicated in 15 years. So there's a lot of layers to that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so upset because there was a scene that ended up getting cut that we didn't end up shooting, that I thought really kind of conveyed that, that sort of, we haven't seen each other in 15 years and here I am. We kind of saved it for the end.
Yeah.
I don't want to give too much away, but at the end, it's a lot happier, I'll say.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. It's funny. I saw on Facebook that, this is based on a book. The book is called Ghetto Cowboy, and then, they changed the name for probably obvious reasons.
Yeah,
but, I still read it. I thought it was wonderful, and it's a book that's, like, aimed at, like, young adults. So I was like, this is great. But I saw recently on Facebook that the author has written a sequel, and I'm like,
Right.
I'm so intrigued. I'm like, so what happened in the sequel? And will there be a sequel movie?
Possibly.
I know.
It's really. I mean, this kind of touches something that I'm really kind of passionate about, and it's. And it has to do more with people re-entering from incarceration, because that's a byproduct of everything that you're talking about. What ends up happening when that goes unchecked, you end up in jails, you end up addicted, you end up in all of these places that are not good, and so the main reason why you end up in those places is because you failed, or somebody failed you in teaching you how to be a man, and what a man is, and what does that mean, what does that look like. And the only people that can teach you that are men that have been there, especially when it comes from incarceration. It's really hard for people that have been to prison to come out and listen to people tell you about you, and you've never been where I've been.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, how are you a probation officer who just went to school and did everything that you were supposed to do, probably never experienced half of what I did, and you're telling me how I feel because you read a book?
Yeah. You took a course.
And now it's probably an online course.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's like,
I think that's such an interesting. That's a really interesting point to make, that no one else can tell you about you or your experiences, because no one has ever walked your shoes. Even if it is, we've both been to prison, but my experience will be different than, this person's, you know what I mean? No one can ever tell you about who you are because they never walk in your shoes. So that's a really interesting point. Yeah. I'm excited. I can't wait for people to see this movie. I feel like people are going to be debating things and being like, do we feel that Cole understands his father, and, all these kind of things. It's one thing. Yeah, it's one thing to be like, I don't know my father. He's this absent person. 15 years have gone by, and as far as I'm concerned, he's basically just a shadow. Then on top of it, it's like, well, here's your dad, and also he is a cowboy in 2020. Like, it's just like, wait, what? You know what I mean? So he's got to kind of deal with the double dose of like, who is this guy? You know what I mean? And I think he does come into Philly with a little bit of cockiness. Like, man, this is how you live in the city. Like, what are you guys doing down here? You know, a little bit of that kind of cocky teenage swagger. And then it just quickly. But also, I was going to say, too, the movie also does show kind of like what that young man in the clip was saying about how he was like, you know, if I hadn't been involved in the stables, I'd probably be, you know, doing stuff I wasn't supposed to be doing. There's, you know, it does show a character who is going down that road as well. So I like that the fact that, you know, Cole, our main character, my son, has choices in front of him. You know what I mean? It's like, you can go this way and work hard and, you know, whatever, or you can go this way and see where that leads, but, you know, probably not somewhere good, you know.
Well, so, I can't wait to see it, because I didn't know if I was going to, but now that you explained it to me, it actually has a lot of elements that my own personal life has in it. So I was
gonna say, I'm like, this movie sounds like it was tailor made for you to see. You must see it.
Yeah, I'll check it out. We'll have
to have a Zoom viewing party. You know, I'll be like, okay, Sean, get your popcorn. It's time. Tissues ready.
I got the 100 person account.
Exactly. Yeah, I think people are going to really like it. I think people are going to be, you know, it's, first of all, I mean, it's Idris Elba on a horse. Like, how bad can that possibly be for anyone? And he's, you know, like, the shirt is open for some of it, so you're just kind of like, huh, like, it's wonderful. And then I think anybody who's like a fan of Stranger Things is going to be really surprised. Do you watch Stranger Things?
You know what? I never got into it. I watched a few episodes, and it was just it wasn't something that caught my it didn't catch my attention.
I liked it. I didn't start watching it until I got cast in this, and then I was like, I should probably maybe watch Publish.
Yeah.
You know, and then that was a stupid thing to do, because I thought I was going to be working with a little kid, and then he's not a little kid. He's taller than I am with heels on. Like, he's tall.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's hilarious. But I think anybody who's a fan of Caleb's is going to be really surprised, because I love Stranger Things. I love it. But I would say he's like a secondary character on that show. And in this movie, he really does carry it. And he does a fantastic job with it. But I also think people are going to be surprised to see, like, Method Man playing the part that he plays.
Yeah.
Yeah. Method Man is hilarious. He's hilarious.
I think it's cool that it's you actually get to see Caleb in a more fuller role to where you can actually see the levels of his ability. The scenes where he and Idris really go like toe to toe, I was there for one of them, and I was like, this kid is holding his own with Idris Elba. Like, I'm just praying I can get through my scene with Idris Elba. I'm not like hoping I can keep up with him at that point, because I was just like, I just hope I can get through it without fainting. That'll be success for me. You know, but like, he just lays it all out there. Like, Caleb's amazing. He really just leaves it all out there. And most of my scenes were with him. Okay.
So it was really, I mean, I was just hoping and praying. I'm like, please let us have a good, chemistry, because I have to feed off of his energy for almost the entirety of what I do. And thankfully, within 10 seconds of us first meeting, he was like, Mom! And he gives me this big hug, and I was just like, oh, we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. Like, this is going to be great. Thank God he basically had to trust me with his life for like a whole entire day, because, the car that we were driving in, to give me this like 1993 like Toyota Tercel that's like breaks down on every left turn. type of thing. And they blocked off like a 4-block radius that was all left turns, you know, and I'm in a caravan. It's like us, and then there's the mechanic truck behind us, and then the director behind them, and then like someone behind them traveling on an actual road. And every time I turn left, the car stalls out and we just coast. We're doing our scene, and I'm like, I've got it. You know what I mean? But it's literally like I had a 1 foot by 1 foot square in front of me that I could see out of.
Yeah,
that was it. And then it's like Caleb in the passenger seat. I've got a sound guy in the back. The windshield is completely blacked out. There's camera equipment on both side doors and a huge light rig on the windshield. So Caleb really had to trust me with his life. I felt really bad. I was like, oh, it's gonna be an adventure. It's gonna be an adventure, Caleb. Don't worry about it. It's gonna be fine. He is a trooper.
Well, that's cool, man. I can't wait to see it, and you know, and I'm definitely stoked that you stopped by to hang out with me today and to tell me all about it.
My pleasure. Yes, you have to see this. I think this is a movie you would enjoy. So let me know when the Netflix party is going to be.
Okay. What is there a release date yet, or?
I know nothing. I heard it made another festival debut on Friday. But then as far as like a release, the only thing I'm being told is very early 2021. So I would say in the next few months, but don't quote me on it.
Yeah, everybody's more worried about what's going to happen on the 3rd.
Yeah, I'm like after that kind of dies down is probably when we'll be looking at our movie. I would say early next year.
Yeah, no, we don't want to talk about the 3rd. Enough people are talking about that mess.
Yep.
So
I'm just looking forward to my movie.
Yeah. I'm just
all you can do at this point. You just gotta be like, I gotta pick a point in the future to look forward to, because otherwise I'm just gonna crap. Yeah,
I'm looking forward to going crab fishing the 15th through the 22nd.
There you go. That sounds fun.
Yep.
That sounds
Dungeness crab. Last year we came back with, we had like about 320 of them last year.
Whoa, look at you. You're a pro.
No,
That's awesome.
My buddy, I take my fifth wheel up, my buddy brings his boat, and then we just go and kill it for a week and bring it all back, and I give it all away.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing. Everything in that sentence was amazing.
Yeah, well, I mean, it doesn't taste very good when you freeze it after, because what we do is we cook it, we clean it, we cook it, and we freeze it immediately right there, and then we have gallon, the big Ziploc bags. So we'll freeze we'll clean it all, put them all in there, have like 50 of those bags to split between two of us, or three of us,
nice.
And then just it's around Thanksgiving time anyways, so usually. We just bring it to family members or whatever. Just give it away to neighbors, the people that babysit, stuff like that.
That's awesome. What a cool gift, man. That's classy.
Oh, dude, and it tastes so good when you get it that fresh. Oh, it's so yummy.
I'm hungry. I haven't eaten yet, Sean. I'm hungry.
Well, as I told you, I just came from Costco, so I had a couple of them big old hot dogs with no bun.
Oh, man. Yeah, no, seriously, like, when we get off of this, I'm about to be like...
Get your grub on, girl.
You gotta get some crabs. Who's ready for some crabs?
Yep.
Hush puppies, crabs, and fries.
Awesome. That sounds good, too. Why don't you go ahead and plug whatever it is you want to plug, your social media, your movie, where they can find, or anything that you want to appear in the show notes. Go ahead and let everybody know so the show note person that I have can jot that down for me.
Cool. Well, definitely be on the lookout for Concrete Cowboy. Directed by Ricky Staub and starring Idris Elba, Caleb McLaughlin, Method Man, and yours truly. Yes, hopefully early next year. And then in the meantime, you can always follow me on imdb.com under Liz Priestley, and might only social media account is on Facebook, also under Liz Priestley. If you see any accounts anywhere else with my face, it's not real. That's it. I'm very boring. I don't have an Instagram or anything. That'll change, I'm sure. I'll start taking pictures of what I eat, but I don't.
It takes
really,
a lot.
Who's interested?
You know what? Honestly, you're probably better off because you'll save a whole lot of time towards more stuff that is more meaningful.
What I'm saying. I got stuff to do. Really? I mean, yeah. Just follow me on Facebook. I will update everyone there. If I have any news, I'll share any clips, any articles, podcast links. Yep. So that's where to find me. Facebook, Liz Priestley.
Awesome. And then also too, when you find out when it's going to be releasing, whether it's if it's on a virtual, let me know. I'll go ahead and grab that and take a look at it, and awesome. And maybe we can reconvene after.
I would love to. Yeah.
And then we can talk a little bit more about the movie itself.
Yes, that would be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate your time, Liz, and good luck to you. And we will be talking when that movie releases.
Thank you so much, Sean. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Bye.
You've been listening to the Nowhere to Go But Up podcast. Sean is a single dad, a union blue-collar guy, and he spent time in federal and state prison for drug trafficking and fraud. When he was released from prison in 2006, all he had was the clothes on his back, a bag of mail, and some paperwork. Since then, he's turned his life around and shares the struggles and successes on this podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show, and we hope you were moved. To connect to the show, book a guest spot. For merch, Patreon, PayPal, and social media links, go to linktr.ee/nowhere to go but up. On Instagram at Nowhere to Go But Up Now. On Twitter at But Up Now. On the YouTube channel at Nowhere to Go But Up Podcast. See you next time.